quite possibly.
My friend, do you have troubles? Is your website just a white screen? Are your forms not working? Do you need some help? Oh yeah. Oh, you need a plugin, maybe a dev. We're solving all your WordPress blues on WP Blab. Woo!
Woo is right. What's up, everyone? This is Jason Tucker, and this is WP Blab. How's it going, Bridget? How's it going?
It's going great. I'm on Blab. I'm with you and all of our friends. That's all that matters.
Oh, man. Bridget's been having a day.
Yep.
She's been having a day.
And
I've been
I can relate to all the parents out there. My dog's been projectile vomiting. And not the sick one either.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
So tonight's topic is an interesting one. It's actually a pretty good topic. We're going to be talking about what is the best WordPress forms in 2016, which is always fun. I always think it's funny when people do these dated posts where they're like, oh, in 2016. And we've only been 3 months into 2016, and that's it. So it's like, we're almost doing like our weird model year of cars that we're selling here.
Quarter's down. We could say the best of the first quarter of 2016.
Right, exactly. So today we did something pretty interesting. What we did is we actually got guests lined up, which is awesome. So we'll pull in a couple folks here and do all of that. But before we do that, Bridget, tell us a little bit about you.
I am Bridget Willard, and I am the marketing manager for WordPress, developer for Give, the best online donations plugin for WordPress.
You missed the word. You forgot to say the word.
Robust!
Oh boy!
Oh, man. That should be a drinking game. Here's my Diet Coke.
It should be. We need to get cards. We need to get cards printed out, and we can hand them out to people at WordCamps.
Even today, Blue Steel Solutions had their brown bag business chat, and it was robust LinkedIn solutions. That word is like the word of 2016.
That's awesome.
Oh man.
So I'm Jason Tucker. You can find me over jasontucker.us, and I also do WordPress stuff. I build WordPress sites. I have a couple clients still. I used to run my own WordPress development business. I still do a little bit, but I also take care of all of the stuff that happens over at the place I work at, which is a church. So I take care of all the IT needs as well as the website there, and we do a multi-site there. And we use forms, just like most websites do, right? So I thought it'd be great to, get some folks together. Bridget came up with an awesome topic, and here we are. So, folks, here's
from the meetup.
Exactly. Well, that's true. We should definitely talk about that. So, well, I'm getting a weird echo. So, yeah, I'm getting a really weird echo.
I don't hear it.
Okay, that's good. I'll just deal. So there's a WordPress meetup that we go to, which is the Orange County WordPress over in Huntington Beach. And Bridget took the long drive up to come and hang out with me and the folks there. And we were talking about all sorts of stuff. But one of the topics that came up was about forms. And, we kind of went through a list of forms, which is essentially going to be the same list that we're going to be going through tonight. Because like Bridget said, we're totally stealing this from Steve Zengit. So
thanks,
what we did is that meetup was awesome. We had some really great questions and really great concerns, and people started asking all sorts of stuff. So it was cool. So I thought, well, let's do this. So we got everybody together here. I started asking a couple of the devs that are out there that build some of my favorite form plugins. Hey, let's make this happen. So there we go. So here's how it's going to work. Over in the chat room, which is on the right-hand side of your screen, The very bottom, there's a thing that says send message. If you click on that and type in some words and hit enter, the words will then be sent to all the rest of the people that are watching. That is how a chat room works. If you're lazy, you can hit the little slash key and you get some really cool stuff that's in there, including flipping a table, which is always awesome. But while you're in there, if you type in /Q space and then your question will be added to our question queue, and then we'll be able to answer those questions. So if you have a question for one of the people that will be on tonight, feel free to use that /Q and do that. If you're somebody who isn't afraid of being on camera and isn't afraid of having people on YouTube watch you later on, feel free to go and click on the hot seat, which is in the center of the screen right below Bridget and I. So click on that and you can join. That's it. YouTube folks, if you're watching this later, I'm so sorry you can't do any of these things. Make sure you come over at 7:30 Pacific to our website and
10:30 Eastern.
10:30
Way to go, East Coast peeps.
Exactly. And if you're in the UK, I'm so sorry. It's like 2:30 in the morning or some ridiculousness. So we're opening the hot seat. So feel free to hop in, any of you folks that are in there, Josh or James or even Kevin. If you want to hop in, we can kind of just figure out what we're going to do here and how we're going to talk about your products and kind of talk about the differences between them and stuff. I know a lot of people in the WordPress community are friends with one another. And even if they build the exact same thing, they kind of really want to learn from one another and stuff. So I'd love to have you guys on and we can talk about it. James, how's it going?
Good. How you doing? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you just fine.
Good.
How are you doing today?
I am doing wonderful. It's 10:40 here on the East Coast, and just trying to make sure I talk just quiet enough that I don't wake up my son.
Yeah, that would be bad.
No problem at all. So from what I remember here of folks that we ended up inviting, it was James, it was Josh, and Kevin. That's the folks that we'll probably have on here. So we'll jump in and out a couple of you folks back and forth and kind of ask some questions and whatnot. This isn't like Google Hangout, which is what we use on WPwatercooler. We can have like 10 people all talking over each other. So, you know, we'll have to deal with it.
On WP Blab, you get to finish your sentences.
It's an added feature. I think you don't even have to pay extra for it.
I think James and I are too
model.
nice to each other for talking over each other.
Yeah. So, who wants to start? Who wants to kind of give us an idea of what your plugin does, what started it? I'd love to hear a little bit of a background behind it, and then let's kind of go from there.
Go for it, Josh. Lead us off.
Okay. Why don't I do it? My name's Josh Pollock. I work on Caldera Forms, myself and David Kramer. It's a drag and drop responsive form builder that I was actually introduced to when I used to work on pods, and David Kramer was a contributor, and it was just one of those things where like it was the user interface I wanted to use for myself. It solved a lot of my own problems, and we sort of started working together on that. And I don't know, now it's a thing that people seem to be really into, and which is exciting. But yeah, it's a freemium form builder based around a drag and drop editor.
Nice. What did you use before you used your plugin?
So here's the thing, like, I don't think I'd ever used a form builder before, because
You just went and coded all your forms?
no, because when I was started,
He goes, I had a Perl script that was catching all of the information and then sending it off.
Maybe
Look, I
Josh
had
is like me. He didn't want anybody contacting him.
no, like I might have had like Jetpack contact module.
Yep.
Most of my development work at that point was Pods custom development, and Pods has its like front end form builder class for Pods data. Oh no, I need to start quoting things.
Clearly, we have some gamers with us. You are very good at the space bar, my friend. Oh man.
Sorry, Josh. Sorry to totally.
So the YouTube people, just so you know, on Blab, there's little hand applause things, and when they click it, it goes up. Right now, I'm at 171. Jason Tucker's at 143. Pollock is at 116, and James Laws is at 122. For those keeping score on Blab.
I like that. I like this little thing. What was I saying? So I honestly, like, all the custom development work that I was doing at that point was like pod stuff. And so it was just using like the pod's built-in front-end editor when I needed to, which works, but it's like limited. And so I was like, hey, I need a better form interface. And that's kind of when I got turned on to Caldera Forms. Just like, let me check out what David's building. And I got really into it. I was like, this is how I think interface should be done.
That's awesome. And that's what I like about a lot of these form builders is that they're not just the same thing. Everybody has a different approach to it. And it also makes it so that if you don't like the way that they're approaching the issue, that you're able to, just switch over to something else and give it a try, which is awesome. So how long have you guys been doing that?
We launched in February of last year. So it's been a year. And
awesome.
Almost a year before that of development in terms of Caldera Forms. Mainly before, it predates me. Like, it was literally a thing that David got started with because it seemed like a neat challenge.
Very cool.
So we're spun out of control. Now I'm here. I blame him.
So James, did you have the same type of way of going about this, or what's your beginnings with your plugin?
Yeah, so the way Ninja Forms happened is we had a client, Junior Achievement of Chattanooga, who was doing custom events registration. They needed to be able to, it could be a bowling tournament or a dinner or whatever. And we were fairly new in the WordPress community at that point, so we weren't familiar with, like Gravity Forms or any of the other form solutions. So we built a form builder for them so that they could easily create their own kind of registration form and attach it to the event for their stuff. Once we got done with it, we were like, hey, this was pretty cool. I wonder if anyone else would like this, if this would be helpful to anyone. And so we generalized it and rolled it out as actually as a premium plugin. So we went right into the paid market to start. That was June of 2011. And did that for about a year and a half, messed with the premium and the freemium model until 2013 when we switched over to the add-on business model. That's really when Ninja Forms really started to take off in January 2013.
Awesome.
Yeah. So
what were you guys using before that?
Before that, to be completely honest, we weren't doing a lot of form stuff. I had my own personal sites. I had a few custom sites. I was doing a lot of Flash development before I got into WordPress. So, action scripting and Flash and all that stuff. And that's
making all those really great mobile responsive forms on Flash.
Phenomenal stuff. So there wasn't a whole lot of plugins for what we were doing. So yeah, we actually did hand code most of our forms back then. So
awesome. Well, that's cool. So so we got Caldera Forms and Ninja Forms. What are you guys' price points, and like where did you think about coming up with the way that you have gone about that price point wise?
Well, for us, pricing was quite experimental until it just something clicked. So when we first started, we were selling a premium product. I think we launched it in June of 2011 at like $15 all in. And did terrible. Like I think in the first 6 months we may have done around $6,000 in sales in 6 months. Like it was nothing. In the second year we didn't do much over 10,000 almost at that same price point. Didn't do anything in 2013. Yeah, and that was, as Kevin is saying in the chat, that was for everything, unlimited support, unlimited updates for life.
Wow.
We still have 400 customers that we support because we grandfathered them in when we transitioned everything.
Wow.
And so we and then what happened was in January of 2013 when we went to the add-on model, we started experimenting with most of our featured add-ons being somewhere in the vicinity of anywhere between $29 and $49 per add-on. And since we pulled all of the features into individual add-ons, we essentially raised our price by over 400% in January of 2013. And then all of a sudden, people were like, oh, well, if you're going to charge this much, there must be something to this. And they started buying. So,
that's awesome. That's something that I've seen a lot of plugins go about this, where it's like, well, here's the core functionality that you need. This totally works without any of the extra add-ons. You can, collect data, do whatever you want with the data. If you want to write your own add-ons with it, obviously go for it. But, we've also made, authorize.net and this and that and all these different things that you can kind of, buy and build and get set up.
I think
which is sweet.
I think that because the fact of the matter is that you can add up on add-on. It doesn't matter if you're talking about a form builder or WooCommerce or whatever, right? You can end up spending a lot of money on add-ons, and you should, by the way, because hopefully that some of those will go to me, or my friends, right? But I think that the ability to start a customer user relationship at $30 gives sort of an opportunity to prove yourself or not.
Yeah.
That when it's starting a relationship at $200, especially in our industry, there are a lot of plugins out there for $15 that might not be very well supported. And being able to prove yourself at $30 really makes it easy to make a $200, $500 a year customer, I think.
Yeah,
exactly.
And
that's the process you step people through is freemium to buying an add-on to maybe buying a bunch of add-ons, right? Each step of the way, you get to prove the type of company you're going to be that they're going to interact with each day.
And you give them options. I mean, isn't that what everybody wants with cable TV? I don't want $200 in every channel. I just want HGTV, Fox News, right? But you just want to be able to pick what you want. You maybe don't need all those add-ons, right?
And Bridget, that's actually a great point, because when I look at my own cable package, right? My wife and I talk about all this. They don't have a package for what we want. We have to pick some sort of in-between package. We either lose a few channels that we want, or we end up paying for a ton of channels that we don't want, instead of being able to say, and cable companies would do well with this, right? Let me just pick the channels that I want to subscribe to, and you can charge me accordingly. And that is essentially right what the add-on model does. It says, hey, we have all of these features. You can buy them all, or you can buy one, or if it's a good solid freemium product like Ninja Forms or Caldera Forms, right? You can just use the base product, and it will probably solve 95% of your problems right out of the gate.
Exactly.
That's what I like about WordPress, is that you have a lot of freedom to choose, and you have a lot of ability to scale.
I agree.
And so you can do that with both of your forms, yes?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty incredible to think about, a form builder, what I have to explain that people think it's about contact forms, but it's really an application builder.
Oh yeah.
You can click our add contact form and type a couple boxes and hit save and be done. But I don't think that's how, right? That's not why I have a business. Jetpack can do that, and it's just kind of bundled with WordPress, right?
Right.
This is a business because people have some sort of weird thing that's very unique to that site. Right, or they have some sort of custom registration system, e-commerce, weird stuff that I keep seeing, and and that's speaks to what's cool about WordPress, is that everybody looks at it and says oh yeah, I could probably figure that out.
Yeah, and it's the second you just like what you said about it becoming becoming an app itself. As soon as you turn on conditional logic on any of these, you're instantly doing exactly that. You're making it so that you can have choices, build some things out. I've seen, I'm looking on both of your sites here to kind of get a little bit of a comparison between the two. The idea of being able on Ninja Forms to be able to spend a couple bucks and be able to have the user's progress saved is huge. I mean, that's a huge thing. Why would you not have that? And being able to style up the thing or be able to attach a file to it if you're doing some type of reports or something people need to upload PDFs to or whatever. As soon as you start doing that, it turns into an application that, it's an engine that somebody can then build off of, which I think is pretty amazing.
And I think that's the next step that, we talk about form builders from a user perspective, all of these powerful things that you can do, but most of these form plugins are used much beyond that. So at the point where we're building other plugins and other products to sell, when it comes to the point where we need user input, why would we build forms into another plugin when we can just extend the framework we've already built with Ninja Forms or Caldera Forms or Formidable or any of these other plugins. Like we can utilize those to be the form portion of any piece of software that we build. Matter of fact, we have somebody that we've been talking to in our development group who basically builds forms for lead generation for their CRM.
Oh.
And they basically said, your form builder's better that, your 3.0 form builder is better than our form tool. We're thinking of dropping our form tool and just integrating Ninja Forms as being the core for our forms. And that's kind of the power of these form builders, right? Like they are frameworks to do anything where you need to collect user input.
Huh. Yeah, and that's neat because as long as there's an API on the other end to grab the data that you're going to be, collecting, then why not?
Yep.
What are some of the more popular CRMs that Ninja Forms integrates with?
Well, we integrate with like Salesforce, Insightly, Capsule, Zoho. There's 2 or 3 others that I'm not thinking of off the top of my head.
Agile.
We don't have an integration for Agile currently, but we will as soon as we finish all of our 3.0 compatibility add-ons.
Oh, sweet.
We will be adding on a bunch of CRMs and fast.
Very cool. So what about with Caldera? How's your approach been of looking at problems that need solutions for, and then building add-ons that kind of tie into that? What are you guys doing over there with that, Josh?
Yeah, so we've been we have like our base set of add-ons: PayPal, MailChimp, Authorize.net, and there was a point where I was like, oh, I got to get like this payment processor. Like, oh, I didn't hear there that payment processor. Now I got to do that, and like that's coming to terms with the fact that like James has a lot more people than I do, and he's just gonna have more payments processors than I do. And like more integrations are like however many people are working at Rocket Genius. Like there are 2 of us, so we're just going to accept that we have that set, but we're really interested in making things out of Caldera Forms. So like we have the connected forms add-on where you can like make these sequences of Caldera Forms that work together and it tracks the submissions between them. We built like a form analytics plugin, which by the way supports Caldera, Ninja Forms and Gravity Forms and everything.
Nice.
And we're working on those sort of like, how can we do new and interesting things with the form builder? Because at the end of the day, it's like, I'm never to keep up on payment processors, but we have the bases covered. It's more exciting to me as a developer and as a product person to like create new and unique things than 27 more email marketing integrations. It is. It like part of the point here is like I want to have a successful business and make money. And the other point is I want to amuse myself in the process.
Okay.
And I'm going to make really neat, unique things that like you can't get by using somebody else's. And if the problem is that you really need CRM integration for your forms, like James isn't the only one that has that. Like you have 27 extra great options for that out there. And like there's nothing wrong to me of saying to somebody like, I don't know, use Ninja Forms. Like I want people to use us, but it doesn't always work.
I like what you said about as a developer, you're interested in amusing yourself, because there is a lot of creativity in being a developer that I think that we don't often address. Would you say that that's part of your creative process?
Yeah, I mean, I think that for me, it's about like make cool stuff, have fun, and like make a living doing it. And those are all like essential parts of the process. And they all have to be there. Like you can't, like, I'm not saying like every day I'm not having fun. Like there are definitely days where I'm like this. Like screw it, I'm gonna go get a real job. Like, it's really fun when I get to do it. Like I like sometimes I think about like my career in terms of something I get away with. Because it's really fun. And like for us, it's like we're gonna build something with a cool UI that's new and unique. And it's really awesome like that we built this connected forms because we thought it would be cool and solve some of our users' problems. And like a lot of people bought it and they're making cool stuff with it. Yeah. Like that's really rewarding. And like that's the point of doing it. Like there are other ways to make money that are better, probably.
So
Yeah.
James, I'm curious, is what drives Ninja Forms or WP Ninjas to create the add-ons? Is there a voting process? Do you do it by support tickets? How do you decide what's the next add-on?
Whoever has the most Twitter followers.
Yeah, right. Who makes the request? There are actually three kind of criteria that we look at. One is our customer base and our user base. What is being requested frequently. The other thing is because Ninja Forms is actually a marketplace. We're not just selling our add-ons. We sell other developers' add-ons so that they can build their own businesses and start somewhere. And sometimes building an add-on is a great way to just kind of get started. So it's what they're working on. If they have an interest in building something, we will allow that to happen. And then the other one is just what interests us. You know, what seems fun, what seems challenging, what seems a new direction we want to try, stuff like that. My greatest joy, see, I'm not really a developer. I'm kind of a hacker at best. But my partner who's in the channel tweeting about this conversation, my great joy is to come up with ideas that seem impossible to solve and watch him solve them. Because he's just a brilliant developer and can do anything that I throw his way. So some of my joy is actually just coming up with ideas that seem like they shouldn't be possible and see what he does.
So you have a Garfunkel to your Simon.
I do. It's true.
They were better together, I'm just saying. For the younger crowd, I don't know who that would be.
Rin to their Stimpy or something, which is probably too old too.
I was going to say that's definitely fairly old.
These references.
I just realized I always forget I'm a little older than most WordPress people. I call dibs on Paul Simon. That's See, we have fun. We have fun.
Absolutely. So I don't know if anyone minds. Does anyone mind if I tackle that question that we just somebody posted?
Yeah, go for it.
So we have that question of a big Gravity Forms user who's wondering if there's anything better because of email notification issues, failing email. And my answer to that is it's probably not Gravity Forms' fault. Email is notoriously difficult. Every form builder has the exact same email problems that we struggle with. It's generally on the host level or the email service provider level. So if you're having problems with notifications, switching plugins is probably not going to solve your problem. As much as I'd love to say, come over to Ninja Forms or use Caldera Forms, you're probably going to have similar problems and have similar support requests. You have things like SPF records that you have to make sure you're sending it from a proper address when you're sending your email. All of these things are factors that you have to consider when you're sending email, and Gravity Forms does it pretty much the same way all of us do it, which is we collect all the data, we hand it to WP mail function, and then we're done. Like there's nothing more we can do to make that email get delivered to you.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
If you have email problems and that's why you're considering coming to us, don't, because you're gonna have the same email problems. And now I'm gonna have to. And like the thing is like Kevin Hoffman just mentioned, like Mailgun, like a transactional email service like Mailgun or MailChimp's Mandrill, which we're all mad at because they like want us to pay for something awesome. Using an SMT plugin to route it through Gmail, like don't use like. I'm like totally spoiled that like I'm on a managed host where email works.
Works.
That's totally true.
It's such a nightmare to like.
But wait, my web host has email. They provide email. Why isn't it working? Yeah, that's probably not working either. So there you go.
If you want to know how the form builder, the people who build them solve email issues, most of us are all using transactional email services.
Oh yeah, he's totally correct. And and I see a follow-up that was like, what would you solve it with? And it's really like a lower problem than Gravity Forms or Caldera Forms or whatever. It's making sure that your PHP mailer can work, or just replacing it entirely with something like Mailgun or whatever.
Yeah.
It has some TP plugin. There's a ton of those out there in the repo. Like we make one that's no different than anybody else's. That like you send it through Gmail.
Yeah.
But that said, I'm a happy WP Engine customer partially because my emails just work.
Well, even Gmail has its limitations too, because there's only so many emails you can send out from your Gmail account before it gets rate limited or throttled or just blocked altogether. So that's where, going through something like Mailgun, Mandrill, Mailchimp, those types of things. That's kind of where you need to go. You're going to have some issues. Yeah, SendGrid. Yeah, it's the other one that's pretty awesome. That has to be like probably like number 1, number 2 support issue, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I would say for every form plugin, and on varying degrees, it's email, and then for us, a lot of times there's JavaScript stuff. People loading bad versions of jQuery, or they have some other JavaScript error that's erroring out on the page and basically invalidating everything that happens after it.
Right. Oh. That's the fun part of jQuery.
I spent the last 2 weeks running an extra plugin on my site that would throw a PHP notice just to see if I could get like Caldera Forms to function on its AJAX responses nice. with a big old debug error running on it. Because you can't assume that every plugin and theme in the stack is not going to be throwing an error.
Right.
When I was in Atlanta, I hung out with some of James's people, and which are like really nice guys, and also Jeff from Rocket Genius. And we had
cool.
a conversation about mail, and I was bringing up the fact that we went off the deep end for a minute about just building our own transactional email service into Caldera Forms, right? And it's insane once you throw in attachments. Right, because email is basically free. It's attachments and that one person who figures out how to use you to provide spam. Right, this starts out as a really great idea and gets really bad. But it's that hard that we really considered this for a minute.
I think every form builder has thought about building their own transactional emails, kind of SaaS component to their plugin, and then somewhere down the line goes, man, this is hard. I don't want to deal with this. I don't know if I want to do that.
It's all AWS is almost free, essentially.
Yeah.
It's so cheap until you consider the fact that people are going to send attachments through it.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh man. So what else should we talk about? Form wise, we kind of jumped all over the place here on some of these things. I've used both of your guys' products. I wear James's shirts.
They're cool.
They are cool. I have one of James's stickers around here.
I liked how you took a group picture with all the forum people. This is the thing I like about. Okay, so I came from.
Look at this. I can for both of you.
Thank you.
Nice.
Before I came to WordPress, I was in construction, and competing companies would never be together in the same room, let alone take a selfie or be on the same show. And I love the Willy Wonka-ness of everything is wonderful and the candy, we can eat it and people are happy. Just as long as you don't go to the chocolate river.
I've always joked with a lot of the other firm people. I'm like, I want you guys to do well. I don't want you to do as well as me, but I want you to do well. Like that's my goal. My goal is I want us all to do really well. I just want to do that's it. I feel like that's reasonable. I don't.
That's fine. I'd like to do more close to as well as you do. So I got into a Uber with Jeff Mattson in Atlanta. And the guy was like, oh, so what do you guys do? And Jeff was like, oh, I work for this company called Rocket Genius. We make gravity forms. So, it lets you do this and this. And the guy was like, oh, yeah, that's cool. And what do you do? And I was like, I work for a company called CalderaWP. And we make a form. We did the same thing as them, just let people use us. And he was like, how? And the guy was confused. I was like, those three guys that were standing next to us before you picked us up, they work for a company called WP Ninjas. They make a form builder.
Oh, that's the best.
I don't think anybody at the WordCamp would have been weirded out by that.
No, that's what's so cool about the WordPress community. It blows my mind. So, I spent
So when are the forms developers going to have their own WordCamp style thing just for forms?
Form
That's what I want to know.
form comp.
Form camp.
Form comp. It could be like Woo comp, but it has to end with an F.
Form comp.
Well, you know, it's funny. Steve and Stephanie from Formidable aren't here, but
Yeah.
when we were at Pressnomics just a little while ago, they were there, and I swear every single lunch and dinner it was us. So, like, we all just went out together because we get along so well. So we consider, you know, and I include Josh in this, we consider these people our friends.
Yeah.
So it's not, while we may be competitors, we're not malicious competitors by any means, and most of us go out of our way never to be that type of competitor.
Right. That's what I'm saying. It's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It's
It's fun.
Outsider's view. This is amazing to me. So kudos. My hat is off to you.
Oh.
My question, just a general question, is: see, I don't have a forum. I don't want anybody contacting me. So. Like,
yeah, I know. I looked at your site and I noticed you didn't have a form on your site. What's up?
No, I don't. I just now learned Beaver Builder like 2 hours ago. Like,
awesome product, by the way. Phenomenal. And the team behind it is great.
Yeah.
He came on WP Blab, and then I was like, I just paid for my second year of hosting on my WordPress site, and so I go, I need to try Beaver Builder. I'm gonna spend $100 to do it. But then you know, we would think about those forums, and I didn't think about it. You know, I have a job. I don't need people emailing me, and I have Twitter. I have every social media. There's millions of ways to get a hold of me. So my question is, what do you wish people knew about forums, or how do you wish people would use forums that they don't naturally think of? What's the dumb moment with forums besides contact me?
You know, that's funny because I think that's different for every person. That moment that they realize, oh, so I have a contact form, but at the same time, while they're submitting a contact, you know, they're trying to reach out to me, I could be sending that data to MailChimp or Constant Contact or Campaign Monitor, building my mailing list.
Oh, really?
I didn't realize that that's something that I could do through Form Builder. Or, you know, I want to create a quick registration form, and it's so easy for me just to add a payment gateway really quick and collect payments, things like that. I mean,
I didn't know that.
Every person. What was that?
I didn't know that.
You didn't know that you could get them into your MailChimp?
That would be a way better way to get people on my MailChimp.
Heck yeah, it is. That's the best way to do it.
Absolutely.
So on WP Lab, we like to have the Bridget Dumb moments live.
So what Bridget does is she actually asks people on. Yeah, see, Bridget asks on Twitter, hey, can you just put your email address in Twitter, and then I'll grab it, and then I'll put it in the MailChimp for you.
Well, you see what I mean, Bridget? Like, everybody has a different moment. It's a different thing, and it clicks, and you're like, oh.
Oh, man.
That's hilarious.
Being into WordPress, like, I talk to people all the time, and I'm like, just copy that to your staging site. And they're like, what's a staging site? Like, this is seems so crazy. Like, to me, that's not a thing, but like, there's so much to the WordPress. Like, and I'm in these weird moments of I'm working with lots of people on my team, and it's like, oftentimes I'm the person with the most WordPress experience in the room, but like, I don't know how to make a WordPress site. I mean, I do, but like, it's not a thing that I do, and it's really hard. You know what I mean?
Not with Beaver Builder, just in case you're wondering.
I had to redesign the front page of CalderaWP, and I threw on some Divi. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
No.
It's been so long since
Just
I
grabbed it and poured the Divi on.
So you guys, actually, Kevin was talking about hidden fields for tracking lead sources. And I remember this is something that Steve Zengit talked about, right?
Yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit more about what kinds of things are a hidden field, and why would you use that?
So a perfect example is, say you have a form on every page of your site, maybe the footer, maybe it's in the sidebar, but you want to know at what point somebody reached out to you. You could add a hidden field to your form and load that in, and most plugins already have this as a default, kind of a default option for a default value, is add the page title or add the page ID or add the page URL. And now every time that somebody submits a form, you know exactly what page they connected with you on. And that gives you a little insight as to some of the information that may be most beneficial when you reach back out to them. That's the thing that I think for converting, right. And so that's one of those things where I think we think of forms as a way for people to get into our website or to get into our email box. But forms are a way for us to get into our users' email box. When they fill out their form, they're inviting you to email them. They're inviting you to interact with them. And that's a big piece of forms that we kind of miss. We think of it as, this is just so I can get information. But no, they're inviting you to have a conversation with them. And that is a huge part of forms.
Next form is going to be called WP Big Brother.
Well,
that is awesome. As a marketer, I am totally into forms now. I need to learn this.
See, Bridget, now you can start dripping all of the content that you want out to the person that's going to email you, and they could essentially be having a conversation with the dripping technology happening, and they don't even know it. And you're just like, yep, keep going. There's all the emails going out.
I never thought of that.
But like Kevin in the chat's making a good, it's for Kevin, not Ninja Kevin, to disambiguate. He is making the point of like, you can put in the URL parameters if you're doing like a lead generation, right?
Absolutely.
You have Facebook coming back, you should grab those UTM tags so that way you can look at it and say like, this is where they came from, track your conversions, and also just know, like we have like a little like contact us form at the bottom of every one of our pages. And when we started, people would like send us these messages and I'd be like, I don't know what they're talking about. Because I didn't think to like put in the like tracking for like what page did they contact me on? Right? And you'd think like I make a form builder. I know how to use it.
Hey Josh, just reach out to me and I'll give you some ideas.
Can you send me a Ninja Forms for my website? I hear it's real good. But yeah, like we put the like what page are you on? So that way when people would say like, does this product, because we also make a lot of stuff that isn't a form plugin, right? We make some other plugins. So it's like, what do I like? How I was like sorting through context clues. Like they were talking about permalinks. It was probably for a URL builder plugin, but yeah, like that's a great example. Like what page are they on? And that's something that you can, once you collect that data in the database, you can start doing a lot of data analytics on. If that's like hey, do you have questions? Are you confused on my website? Like if you're getting that, hey, I don't understand a lot on one specific page, like you need to work on the copy of that page.
Error copywriter.
Yep.
I mean, an example where we're using it for documentation, so a little maybe more of a power user situation. We have documentation, and at the in our new documentation that we're getting ready to release, and in the bottom we ask people to make suggestions if we can improve it. So did you get hung up in somewhere that we can help clarify further? They can write that in, and all we're using is a Ninja form for them to put their suggestion in. We capture the page that it's on that they're referring to, and now we have context. We can go through those and decide what we want to integrate, what makes sense, what doesn't make sense.
Wow.
And that helps us improve our documentation for our users, and it gets them to participate in the process as well.
One of the questions in the chat, which kind of leads a little bit in from the idea of doing documentation to support forms, how are you guys dealing with support? I've never had to submit support to either of you guys yet, but I'm curious, like what is it? What's the process like? And then the question kind of revolves around Gravity Forms turning off their official support form, and then going about it a different way. What's your guys' approach, and how are you seeing this kind of happen for each of your guys' projects?
Josh,
Josh, go for it.
I'll take it if you want. I don't care. I just,
James, go for it.
Jump in. So Gravity Forms is actually a little late to the game on this, right? Because most product companies have learned forums are terrible for support. And what you generally hear is a user who says, oh, but I like to look for my own answers for myself. And the truth is that's 1% of our customers. Oh, wow. 1% of our users actually are seeking to find their own answer. And it's better if they just ask us so we can point them directly to it really fast. What happens in forums, and the reason forums are so troublesome is chances are you read a forum post and you think it's pertaining to your issue and it's not, and you implement the solution, it just makes things worse. The other problem is you get these forum solutions that I love. Kevin just had one of these issues once with some jQuery or some JavaScript stuff that he was dealing with, where they say, here's my problem, and then they come back and go, fixed it, and they leave. But they don't tell you how you fixed it. So somebody comes back 3 years later and looks at this thread, it's dead, and no explanation as to how it was fixed, and so it's not useful to anybody. It's just taking up space. So direct connection through email is such a better way to provide quality support. You point people straight to documentation. My rule of thumb is if you've answered anything more than once, that you should have a document on it so that you can quickly point people to it. So we use our documentation to act as our searchable forums, but forums are just a terrible way to handle support. The other thing is they're hard to moderate. They're hard to put into any kind of flow of priority. So if you have paying customers versus free users, it's hard to determine who should get your attention first. Forums are just notoriously bad all the way across the board when it comes to support. So I'm actually shocked that Gravity Forms has taken as long as they have to shut that down.
Yeah, and it seems like misery enjoys company, so they all start like getting mad about the product, and then they're all talking about the other product that they should be switching to, and then you just start seeing everybody, moving off to the next thing. They're like, okay, I'll see you in the other forum. I'm out of here, bye. And then they're all saving, sending each other discount codes and all sorts of stuff like that, and it's just like, oh gosh, okay,
Sometimes,
yeah, and none of the admins are even getting involved in any of it because they're not there. It's essentially like kind of a ghost ship that's running there in some instances.
I think one of the best things that could be done for the WordPress project is the ability for plugin and theme authors on WordPress.org to be able to turn off the support forums. And if that means that we have to opt out of the stupid rating system because that's the blackmail support, so be it. And the problem is that it creates a user expectation, right? Tell me that anybody who's a plugin developer's never got that angry email. I opened up a support ticket through WordPress.org.
Right.
or they'll
Right.
say it in a Facebook group,
It's almost like the App Store where you can't even interact with the person.
or they'll tweet it.
You can't.
True.
You can't argue with users being trained to do a thing by a strong UX pattern. And they're doing it, but the problem is that it's not good. It's not the WordPress.org plugins and theme support. That whole thing is made sense when it was the role that GitHub fills today of developers being like, hey, I have this cool little tool for WordPress that I want other developers to be able to use. But as a consumer-facing, user-facing interface that WordPress.org is, there is a tool for hey, I found a thing in your plugin that's busted. Here's a bug report or a pull request. It's called GitHub. And trying to pretend that WordPress.org is still that is just wrong, and it's hurting the
Yeah.
And you want to see something really interesting, which is something that we would love to see is, being able to turn off the support forums and let that support link to our external support systems. So if we have a forum that collects support, but interestingly enough, pull up bbpress on WordPress.org and click on the support tab for bbpress, and you'll notice it does not go to the WordPress support forums.
Wait, are you guys telling me that Envato got something right and that they made it so that you can jump from their support screen off to the vendor site where you can then go get support if you wanted to? So Envato did get that right.
Yeah, Envato's done a lot of stuff right.
I know, but that's the one piece there. It's
that's a big piece. Yeah, that's a big piece.
Because what I do is I go on Envato's website and I go and look at the, whatever it is I'm looking at, and then you see 9,000 comments, and all of them are either bashing the thing or they love the thing or, oh, this is the best thing ever. And those are great to look at. So it's I guess the thing is what's the balance there? How does your potential customer find out, is this thing having problems or not, if there isn't any publicly facing things to show that there's problems or not? It's kind of a catch-22, I think. Would you agree, James?
I'm sorry. My video kind of
it's
seized
cool.
up
So
the last.
it's okay. So what I'm asking is, like, for me, I use that as kind of like taking the pulse of, of the product. So I go and look and see, like, are there 9,000 people mad about this thing, or are they super duper happy about this thing within the last like 2 months or something? And so I guess, how does someone use that strategy to figure out how well your product's going, so that way they can then go and buy it, or feel like they should go buy it?
Hopefully they don't. I think there's this hop-on effect of an issue. So email is a perfect example, right? Like, you get a lot of people who'll say, "Oh, Ninja Forms sucks because the email, I'm not getting my emails." And there's probably hundreds of people that can say that, but they can say that about every form plugin that exists, because it's not a particular issue with Ninja Forms. So being able to mitigate that conversation and point that to something that's very structured and specific, where we can explain, this is the email issue that exists, and people may complain about it in other places, but everybody's dealing with this issue. Here's how we're solving it. Other plugins may be solving it differently, but I mean, at some point as a business, you have to figure out how you control the narrative and explain that, because hopefully we're all trying to improve those things. So if something gets brought up a dozen times, we don't sit there and say, well, how do we explain this better? We try to fix it. Like, how do we just remove that issue? Because if it's an issue, we don't want it there anymore.
Right.
I guess the thing is that the user, let's say if their entire experience only exists within the repo. So all they do is just look in the plugin directory, and that's it. And they look on there and they're seeing number of 5 stars, because that's kind of something that they're pretty familiar with. But then they're also looking at the number of downloads or active installs.
Right.
They're just like, what? I guess, what's the number that they should be looking for? Because I don't know. I go to meetups and you hear like the person who has their cat blog, that they're in the back corner and they're like, I'm looking for this thing to use for my site. I don't know what's the metric. What's the thing I'm supposed to be looking at? Is it the last time they updated it? Did somebody just go and add a semicolon to the end of something, and that was the update? Or is it like what's the thing? What's the thing that people should be looking for?
That's always a tough question to answer, right? Because I think there's several metrics we should tell people to look at when they're looking at like the repo. Downloads is really an insignificant number. Ninja Forms boasts over 2 million downloads so far. While we're happy with the number, it doesn't tell you much about the product. We do have over 400,000 active installs. That number is meaningful. It means that 400,000 people are actively using the product and are apparently happy with it. Another number is the reviews, like out of 4.4 out of 5 stars, whatever the case may be. So reviews are a good metric, but not just the number, but reading the reviews, watching how the plugin developer replies to those reviews. Is it always combative? Is it however they reply to that? Read the 5-star reviews, read the quality of them. The last time they updated is important. Look at the changelog. I encourage developers when they put their changelog in to throw a date in that first line of each release, so people know when each release went out, so they can get an idea of what you're fixing and what's going into those updates. All of those things are metrics. Now, the problem is, right, like I know we don't really support our plugin through the WordPress.org forum. We do that on our own site. So if you look at the WordPress.org forum, you might think that we're unresponsive and we don't deal with it. But we have, unfortunately, no one reads it. We have a sticky message at the very top of the forum that says, read this first for support. And it tells them to come to our site and we will help them.
Yeah.
But
nobody reads that.
Lots of people don't read.
No,
Nobody reads that. No.
When Matt Cromwell was talking to Jason Coleman, Jason Lemieux, and Adam Warner about the freemium model and that whole ecosystem, that's exactly what Jason Coleman was saying. They have a sticky note. He talked about the blackmailing, and so the thing is, you have to understand the psychology of somebody who's going to lead that review. There's somebody who has they don't feel like they have power in their life. They're frustrated. They need help. The interface is frustrating. Somebody like me wouldn't know about mail interface things. We just know it doesn't work. And so support people are always frustrated that we don't know how to communicate our problem because we don't totally understand the problem. And I feel like in between the support and the marketing is the documentation. That's really the bridge, right? So I really feel like the next iteration of .org, look at me saying this, but the next iteration of .org needs to have, was this review helpful? Just like Amazon.com. Because if you're going to play with the big boys, then you need to be like a big boy. And that's how you get those reviews to be, Amazon.com does not have this problem with reviews.
They do have an interesting problem.
Not to the degree that WordPress.org does.
Oh, yeah. But here's an interesting thing that I've heard from a lot of people in publishing and authors, is that they'll get reviews on their books that are like, FedEx said they would deliver it on Tuesday morning, and
it's totally true.
Like that happens to a lot of publishers and to a lot of product people on Amazon, and that's, I think, the kind of thing that we're talking about with email. It's like your form builder is running on a site that has email support.
The book does not control FedEx.
Yeah.
Right, but I get what you're saying with that, because the idea is that they're rating their experience, because the experience is from them walking into the door, making the purchase, and receiving the thing, when the entire thing should have been about the thing that they bought, and they should be reviewing it after they buy the thing. So that's the kind of tricky part. In the chat, Bridget was saying, like, would there be a way of being able to tie in, validating if somebody actually bought the thing from you and then having it display on the site? I mean, that sounds like an interesting API nightmare to try to tackle, and Otto and whoever else that's kind of dealing with that stuff is going to have to deal with it. So,
WordPress
the problem with
has
that
some of the best developers on the face of this planet.
And the problem with that too is WordPress.org does not care about our businesses. They don't care. They don't care about what we're selling. They don't care about the people that we employ. And rightfully so. I don't think it's their job to care about our businesses. But what they care about is the user experience. Like, they're trying to create a better user experience. But the problem with that is some of the tools that we have do not create the best user experience yet. And we're still juggling that. I mean, they're making great strides. The Meta team is doing some really cool stuff. They're trying to push it forward. It's not as fast as what some of us businesses would like to see, but that's because we have different agenda than they do.
So that in the marketing, we just need to manage their expectations.
Always. I think that you're always doing that. Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's really hard, because if people expect things to work, and like, that's not, sometimes I get annoyed. I'm like, haven't you used software before? Like, I spent all this money on a Macintosh computer and it no longer has a functioning file browser. Like, that annoys me, but like, it's the kind of thing you expect from a crappy computer manufacturer.
It's Finder.
No, I don't have that thing. Like, I have like application switcher and I have the command line, so I get by, but like,
of course, command line. Why did I even think?
I need a new computer.
I'm sorry, I forgot who I was talking to.
But is, like, people expect an experience from WordPress because it's been sold as, oh, it's just so easy and you'll just throw all this stuff together, and like, you really can install it and like use 2016 and like publish a blog post in 5 minutes. But
yeah,
that's not a realistic expectation of, I'm going to put together 20 plugins that who knows how they're going to work together. And it's really hard at this scale, because if I looked at the plugin list on my website right now, I could tell you by first name who wrote almost all of those, as like, I know that person. That's not common, right? There are very few plugins on my site that I don't know the person that did them, or I didn't like contribute to, right? And in some way, but that's not like, at this scale, that's not the thing. Like, how do people, like, it's an insane thing that we do where we're like, I'm going to make a piece of software and have no idea how it's going to be used. In the site.
Because it's part of it. It's just a one puzzle piece.
Yeah. I have these fantasies of like making an app that runs as a SaaS service, and like, I only have to make it work with one server configuration, and like, when there's an error, I see it in my logs, right? Like, that's like premium, like 5.1 sound for my living room. Like, those are things that I really dream of.
But that's and think about it. That's why lots of WordPress businesses are moving towards SaaS.
Oh.
Right? Because if you're in a SaaS, you control the environment, you control the server, you have one piece of software, you're dealing with everything from beginning to end. And if you control the environment from beginning to end, you can make sure that the user experience is always 100% consistent.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I was kind of interested in, and Syed's not here to defend himself, but about WPForms, where the second that loaded up, I looked at it and I'm like, okay, is this hosted on my site or is this hosted kind of like how he does with Opt-in Monster? It's like, sure. How's this thing set up? And I'm really curious, how that was going to end up working out there.
And all the women in the group went, "Oh." We loved it.
because of the cute icon. Yeah,
it looked really easy to figure out. It's way nice. Just saying.
I think that
it's still not as cute as our Peking Ninja. Everybody loves our Peking Ninja.
I love all of you equally. But I'm just saying, maybe that's part of it.
There's an allure to me as a developer and as a business person to being SaaS. But I think in a lot of situations, doing it because it's a good business model or because it helps you with your error reporting, that's not things that meet a user's expectation, right? And also, part of the genius part about being a WordPress product company is that you don't pay to operate your application, right? So if I sell somebody a form thing, right? I sell them a form add-on, or they download my form, and they submit one time, or they submit 10 million times, it doesn't cost me anything different.
Yeah.
And that's really awesome to me. I'm not paying AWS or Google or Linode for a compute cycle every time somebody submits a form. So I don't have that scaling concern, right? Obviously, I have the support scale concern, and I have the development support scale concern that any business has. But I'm not in that place of I need to make sure I get my business to an affordable level before I run out of free AWS credits.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that was one of the things that I don't know if you guys follow Marco Arment, but he made an app called Instapaper, and Instapaper was featured at Starbucks, and he was running his own server to kind of manage all this stuff to get Instapaper to work the way that it needed to do. And the second that Starbucks goes and says, "Free app, have at it," and he had to go and deal with that. It's exactly what you're describing, Josh. It's like he had to go and deal with all of those transactions that were happening. Most of those people signed up for the thing and then deleted the app and never used it. So he didn't know what to do. Was he supposed to beef up his servers? Was he not supposed to beef up his servers? Is he spinning them up or not? What was it that he was going to do? So I love the fact that with WordPress, you don't have to do any of that stuff, because all those resources are now being put onto that end user's website, and have that end user's website deal with it.
And also,
except for the fact that, like you were saying, all of those servers are all different.
Yeah. But we're empowering people, right? That's what we do as WordPress developers, right? We give people tools to do their thing. And part of that is that they're sitting on their data, and hopefully we have a good API for them to hit their data. But if they need, they can write a custom SQL query, right? To do whatever the hell they need. They can go in and export it to a CSV and do whatever they need. I like the fact that we're creating those opportunities, right? With the A/B testing plugin, people can't get their head around the fact that it's not a SaaS. And I'm going, but shouldn't you own all of your marketing data, right? We're doing this A/B testing plugin, and it's right. It's gathering all this marketing data and putting it and using it to make better choices as a multivariate test tool. But why shouldn't you own your marketing data?
I mean, that jives with WordPress, right?
And maybe
that's the whole point, is owning your own data, not being on Squarespace.
Right.
Or whatever. At all.
But I guess there is a little bit of that disconnect here, because if it's on the repo there, then you're not getting all of that information that you could get. Just like how you have on the iPhone, you have the App Connect, where you're able to get in there and look at it and see how many downloads occurred, how long was it upload, or how long was it actually being used, and those are things that are discouraged even by having those things in your plugin for being able to do tracking and and reports and all that stuff if it's in the repo, right? Isn't that kind of one of the things there?
Essentially, yes. I mean, there's ways of doing it, and as Kevin's posted in the chat, Freemius is a new kind of service that's trying to solve that problem for freemium plugins, right? It's an opt-in process. Lots of plugins have done this for a long time, mind you. Easy Digital Downloads does this. Yoast does this with Yoast SEO, where you can opt in and say, yes, I want to send you data. But the truth is, most of these plugins that are getting that data, and I can't speak for Yoast and Pippin about what they're doing, but most of them are getting this data and they don't know what to do with the data. Like they don't know how to assimilate it to mean something. And
oh my God, I'll tell them what to do. Just start emailing your customers. That's the number one problem. For us, we have Give. It's free. The core of it is totally free. We do not know who those 10,000 people are, or to those 9,000 people are that actively installed it. You have no idea what they're, unless they buy a premium add-on. You do not have their email. They might have opted in, but you don't know who your customers are. And in the real world, it doesn't make any sense to not know who your customers are.
And so that's what Freemius helps us solve, right? Freemius is a service that we're using. So NinjaForms is using Freemius.
I dropped my mic, but...
yeah, that's a little difficult. So Freemius, actually, when they opt in, they can opt in when they install our product, and we get their email address, we get their PHP install, the version of NinjaForms that they're using. Like, we can get a lot of this data, and we can look at how they interact with our application with some custom hooks. We are starting to use that data. So one of the things that we're starting to do is if somebody opts in, we immediately send them to our customer IO account as a Freemius opt-in user so that we can send them a welcome email. So we can let them know what their documentation is, let them know how to get support, let them get answers to those questions. So we might not maybe make a sale from that initial email, but we might be able to lower our support cost, because now they know where the documentation is and they know there's a team behind the product that wants to help them if they have any issues. But there are other ways that we can use Freemius. For 3.0, 3.0 is actually out in the wild. So for those of you who know NinjaForms knows we've been pushing a big release for 3.0. It's actually out in the wild. It's actually in the current version of NinjaForms right now. You just can't unlock it except under certain conditions. But when they unlock it, we get that data, so we know the people who have upgraded to 3.0, and if they had issues, the people who have downgraded. And we can reach out to those people and help them through that process if that happens. And that's good data, but that's not easy to come by.
No, it's not. You are my new best friend. I love you.
This is really great. The fact that he has such an amazing business opportunity is wrong with WordPress. And it's because it's like this anti-commercialism, but the fact of the matter is that we can have all this cool stuff because, and people can make cool WordPress sites because these things exist, and people who give in this space and give back to WordPress can, because they can make a damn living doing it, right? If I can't make a living doing this, I'm going to stop contributing to core. I'm going to stop going to WordPress, to WordCamps, right? And just volunteering at WordCamps, to speaking at WordCamps, to writing free stuff about WordCamps and about WordPress. And the fact that WordPress.org makes it hard for me to understand my customers and serve them better, and therefore have a better business, that's not a good long-term strategy.
But see, again, I think that comes back to what I had said earlier. As far as WordPress is concerned, those aren't your customers; those are WordPress users. And they don't see it in the way that we see it. We have a product that we're putting out. We're trying to convert people into customers. We're trying to service them. But as far as .org is concerned, they are WordPress users. They are not our customers. That's just the way they see it.
I think it's
I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying that's the way it is.
That's interesting, though. That's interesting insight into the mind of Mullenweg.
I think it's just an interesting situation where you have only sort of one unicorn, right? And I don't just mean unicorn. I don't know what Automatic makes. Nobody does. But they're a unicorn in the sense of they're one of the top 10 WordPress sites or websites on the internet, but also and so they have different needs than the rest of us, technically. but also they don't do what other WordPress people do, right? They make a SaaS service for publishing, and they make an enterprise level publishing platform, right? Called WordPress VIP.
And in some ways, we compete with them.
Oh,
because
all the
people
way.
are hosted on top.
Right, but they
it's
don't.
a little bit like a house divided. It's a little weird to me because I'm such an outsider that I'm not like already like, oh, you're not allowed to say this. Matt Millenweg's gonna take you out.
In fact, you know what? We should probably just shut up. What kind of
Got shut down in China. No, because
your domain isn't coming up for renewal anytime soon, is it?
I just did today.
Don't say that.
James, are you into the Titans? Is that like your local sports team?
I'm just kidding. I shouldn't have said that. I probably somebody like gonna.
I'm trying to change the subject here.
I can joke about it because I'm new.
Because I'm new.
Yeah, I've only been,
she hasn't been jumped in yet.
I've only been working for WordPress people since December, so I'm still new enough that I can get away with this crap.
That's true.
All right. So I
San Diego. I can't remember.
I love the fact that to circle all the way back here. I love the fact that both of you guys provide a totally free product that you can download, install, and be able to use it, and that somebody's, I always say cat blog, but somebody's cat blog can totally go and say, hey, ask a question, get some answers, do whatever with it using using your product. And I think it's funny because some of the times the form is used once on the website, and it's like in a contact us page, and that's it. And we put a lot of effort into making sure that that form is done right, or you don't put in any effort into it, and you don't even test it yourself, and then they start shooting in complaints to you because no one's leaving me any messages, or I'm not receiving any emails or anything like that. So I kind of wanted to just kind of circle it all the way back here because we're getting towards the end of the show here. So I wanted to kind of bring in a few things. So one thing is that what other things can people tie into your products that are outside of your ecosystem that can be tied in correctly? So like for instance, like Google Analytics, or being able to do like Zapier, if this and that, like any of the other things that tie in that aren't purchasing or any of that sort of thing. What other things, or what things have you guys seen?
Yeah, so all of that, right? So Zapier is one of those. Of course, I hear that. Is it Zapier or Zapier? Because I hear it pronounced correctly, but I assume it's Zapier. But
I'm from California. I say things however I want.
The Z is silent.
That works.
The Z is silent.
It's happier.
I'll go with that. So Appier is a great solution because you can connect with anything, right? Like you have they can start with a form and then can go absolutely anywhere that you want it to go. And so that kind of integration is really cool. It's not just about integrations with CRMs. I mean, look at just what Josh has been talking about with his connected forms, right? Kind of a form workflow. Stuff like that you can do to create actual workflows. Like, they filled out a form and then our admin did something and then they react to that and then our team reacts to that and go through this kind of workflow. All that stuff is really powerful. But it's really wide open now. Like I said, we have people who are using forms as the framework for other products. So it's not even they have a plugin that does something, but everything where a form is needed, they just use Ninja Forms because it's easier. We do that. Like we're getting ready. We have a product called Ninja Demo, and we built in a custom form for Ninja Demo. And now looking back at it, we're like, what were we thinking? And so we're moving back and we're turning that into an action in Ninja Forms. So now anything that Ninja Forms can do can be used to spin up your demo site. So you can collect their email address. You can make them pay for it. You can do whatever you want to do with it, because anything that's available in Ninja Forms can now extend that other product.
Oh,
that's cool. And Ninja Demo is great. It's like you guys are selling Levi's to all the miners, and that guy was a miner as well. It's like you're like handing out picks and you're handing out axes and stuff. I love it when things just kind of go laterally instead of just trying to find customers that are, don't know anything about your product. These guys know everything about your product because they're using it and they're going to be using the platform every day. So very cool. I love Ninja Demo.
Oh, thank you.
Josh, did you have anything to say?
I think that there's a lot of like growth to be done in the space in terms of like we found a guy. I was helping out a user who was like doing like a survey / sweepstakes entry, right?
Oh.
That sort of thing where it was like join our sign up to win a free whatever, but like really it was a product survey. You know, like they answered like 3 questions and like it was using different conditional logic to choose the next question.
Yeah.
It's those sort of ways, like sneaky ways of doing it. And, you know, you can go really far with the conditional logic. Alex Vasquez was showing me this site where like he was using like our HTML fields to build like a lot of the like fancy stuff in the form. So it was like each page of the form had very few fields, but it filled your whole browser because he was like showing all this like all these like cool images and stuff, and it worked out really well. And it was one of those things where like if it had just been the fields, like why would he have so many pages? It was like because he was doing so much display on it, really made it a fun thing. And I think that there's no like end to it. Like is it the front end of your CRM? Is it the front end of like your user acquisition, your surveys, right?
So you're saying instead of sending a MailChimp with a survey, which their options are really sad.
There's automation in there, but it's not as awesome as some of this other stuff.
Send them to your own that you can make with the form builder. Maybe this sounds like a stupid question, but so like when Pandora sends me all those surveys, they're always sending me those surveys. They're giving me Pandora points or whatever. You could do the same thing with a form builder.
Absolutely.
Is this what you're telling me?
Yeah. I mean, so we do things like that. So
Bridget, you're gonna have to quit your job so you can do all these really awesome things on your own website. That doesn't make any money.
Another example of high-end stuff is we use Ninja Forms to do front-end editing. So we get people who want people to be able to moderate and edit the content of their site. So you can actually create a form with our front-end editor add-on and connect the title to a field, the content to a field, featured image, all of that stuff. And they can just, if they're logged in with the right user role, they just click edit, and then we load the Ninja form with their content. They can change it, save it, and the content gets updated.
And they never have to be in the dashboard.
They never have to make it to the admin. We do creating posts that way, the same way. Like you want people to submit user-submitted to your blog, and you can create a form, and I think Caldera does this, Ninja Forms does this, Gravity does this, right?
I think we do it with Give on a Gravity form. Mm-hmm. This sounds familiar now.
Absolutely.
Wow! Forms are way more awesome than send me your email. That should be the title of this.
Oh, I love it when Bridget gets excited about this stuff.
Well, I'm just saying, I never thought of that in millions of years. I'm glad you guys took some extra time in your EST life to be with us and to explain to me and the rest of the audience.
It's this entire thing. You started this entire blab just so we would explain to you how things work?
Oh,
that's pretty much how this has been set up. Yeah.
Well, Jason Tucker set it up for one reason. It's my private WordPress tutoring. That's why.
So the next show is going to be on e-commerce solutions, and we're going to have a store.
I just feel like I'm just going to imagine. I've never been to WordPress Worldwide headquarters. I'm excited to go in a few weeks, but I'm going to be there. We're in San Diego. Yeah, and but I just imagine it's like Matt turns to Bridget and says, "Hey, can you do this and this?" She's like, "Yeah, I'll do it next week." And then she sets the schedule at WP Blab.
No, it's more like we've had this conversation before, Bridget. Don't you remember? And I'm like, what?
I'm just waiting for him to go and tell her. You know, that was on episode 6. You should go back and watch your own episode.
Well, we're a 6-month-old show now.
Yep.
Started October 1. So thanks.
Yeah, water cooler's up to 3 years now, which is just ridiculous. I can't believe that.
Yeah, I thought it was a
Congratulations.
prank, but here I am talking to these
6
amazing
months.
WordPress developers. Thank you for your time, you guys.
Oh, absolutely. We appreciate you inviting us. It's a lot of fun having these conversations.
Oh yeah, thanks for having me. I really appreciate being invited, and yeah, it's fun.
No problem at all. Like I said, I'm a user of both of your guys' plugins. I've used all of them. Formidable, Gravity Forms.
Wait,
you guys.
just for the beginners, not on the same site.
Oh no, I put them all on there, and they're all on one page, and you just go through each one of them.
I may or may not have worked on a client site that was like half Gravity Forms and half Caldera Forms, because like the person we took it over for, like most of those forms still worked and we didn't know how to use it. So we just left them until like, it was like, okay, we need to replace that wholesale or it like works, because like we're not going to like, just let it be.
I will say this, you would be surprised at the number of people who use multiple form solutions. Like we get lots of customers that are diehard Ninja Forms users, but they also use Caldera or Gravity or Formidable.
Whoa.
Because they solve different problems for them and they like certain things to do certain projects and certain tasks.
That's awesome.
My mind is blown.
Awesome. All right, folks. Well, that's about it for today. Make sure you go to our website at wpwatercooler.com/wpblab and click on all the links there to subscribe. If you're watching this on YouTube, we would love it if you hit the thumbs up button and even leave some comments. That'd be sweet. Make sure you go over to both James's website and Josh's website. The links are in the show notes and all the links down below. That's about it, right?
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Awesome.
You need a plug-in, maybe a day.
Hey, I'm getting there.
Your WordPress blues on WP Blab. Woo! That was the acapella version.